Good morning. What's up, guys? We are live. Welcome to the stream. Let's get into it right away. Market's moving. ATR is not too bad. You know, it's sitting at 24. We've seen slightly better in the last couple of days at this time, but we can certainly work with this. What I've been thinking about, actually, with the volatility issue we've been dealing with lately, at least on, NQ, I was poking around ES last night. And I know that, typically in a low volatility environment, you'd probably say, hey, if I trade ES, I might come over to the dark side, the NASDAQ, right? The typically more volatile instrument. But it was, I don't know, it's an interesting thought. They move very similar to each other. And what we've been seeing a lot on NASDAQ is, I know a lot of you guys who trade NQ or MNQ or whichever, have been dealing with is in the low volatility environments on NQ. And by the way, this is still the MNQ chart. I haven't switched over. One of the issues is when volatility is so low, all of a sudden any little thing causes a 10, 20, 30, 40 point jump. And there's no edge in those little jumps. So the interesting thing is ES, it's a little more thickly traded. Even MES is, right? The micros. And when things are a little more thickly traded, they tend to be, the big moves tend to be blunted, the big quick moves, not the trends, but the big quick moves. And lately, I know for a lot of people, that's been an issue on NQ, MNQ. So just a thought, if you're trading tighter, especially on NQ, if you're a 10, 15, 20 point stop kind of person, at least regularly, there's a thought in the lower volatility environment. If you're getting chopped out on those big wicky moves, hey, maybe you transition to MES. We've talked about this a lot. I've always had questions, why NASDAQ over S&P? It's more popular today, I would say, as far as at least people who are forward about, like, on the internet, typically tend to be younger people trading the NASDAQ. That makes sense. But ES has always been the OG. I have nothing against S&P futures. They just are a little bit less exciting, we'll say. But that's not always a bad thing. What's up, guys? Good morning. Maddie, Faba, John, Dips and Peaks, good to see you. Trading Chris K, what's up, guys? Good to see you. Okay, so let's dive into this, take a peek. Full range on the day has been a little under 100 points. We're looking at about 85-ish points on the day so far. It's actually a little bit better than what we were seeing yesterday. This time, it was about 70 points was the full range on the day. ATR is similar, again, sitting right around 24, 25, but the range on these more recent bars has been creeping up a little bit on average. So, let's see what we can put together here today. I'm not really thinking, hey, let's put on a big giant swing. I'm more thinking, let's find some scalps, get some winners under the belt, and see what we can do. Yesterday, before I got off stream, I was talking about how, the afternoons seem to have, the price action is actually, I hesitate to use the word better, but it's been just more volatile in the afternoons lately, in like the last week. This is something we've noticed, which is not normal. That's actually pretty rare compared to the mornings, right? The afternoons have been a little bit more volatile than the mornings. Yesterday, that wasn't necessarily the case. But yesterday on stream, I think I took just one trade, and it was a loser. And then in the afternoon, I finished barely green. So I was happy about that. But it wasn't some crazy clean afternoon, and I finished up 10,000. I just, full transparency, barely finished green, but it was green. Better than red, but don't beat yourself up regardless of the outcome of any one given day. It's not about any one given day. All right, few Powell headlines, few Trump headlines, by the way, coming through in the last 5-10 minutes. Not moving things too aggressively. James, good morning. Bob, I passed my first eval yesterday. Good work. So you're funded now today, huh? Trade small, take it easy. Just trade your good setups. I get it, it's tempting. First day on a funded, it's very tempting to say I'm just gonna go fucking huge. Take it big by scaling horizontally. We're not here to stay small, right? But you gotta stay small per account so that you can go big. End up with, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. There's more and more prop firms popping up every single day. Well, at least every month. So there's plenty of opportunity to scale horizontally. You don't need to go huge in any given account. Then you can't take any drawdown that's going to be very normal. Trump says we're negotiating with Spain on the trade deal. We will make them pay twice as much. And then less than about 7 minutes ago, at least that's when the headline came through, so maybe 10 minutes ago, Trump said U.S. will meet with Iran. He said may sign the Iran agreement next week. And as if we didn't know this already, he said it's possible Putin has territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine. Dieselman says, can you explain horizontally? Yeah, what I mean by that is this is my belief. This is what has worked well for me in prop trading specifically. It does, I get it. You can keep the expenses low and say, I'm just going to get 2 Apex funded accounts, just 2. And I'm going to trade 5 minis and make my money that way. The problem is the drawdown's too tight. They do this to you on purpose. They keep the rules tight because they know everyone in their ego is going to say, hey, I don't want to buy 20 accounts. That's too expensive long term. I'm just going to buy 1 or 2 accounts and then trade big. They let you trade 10 minis in the 50K accounts, right? So I'll trade 5 or 10. And then you can only take like 2 losses in a row and the account is blown. The prop firms are hoping you do this, by the way. So to scale horizontally, what you're going to want to do here is just scale sideways. Meaning, rather than scaling the amount of income you have coming in each account by trading bigger, you trade relatively small micros or a number of micros in each funded account. And, you can copy trade all of them. You can trade them all individually, though I don't think that that's super scalable because you're not going to be able to trade 40 accounts individually every day, at least with quality trades. Or you can copy trade all of them, or you can copy trade them in groups of 5 or 10 or 20. Whatever you want. Depends how much you trust your copy trader, I suppose, and how much you want to spread out that risk. And then you stay small per account, and you just trade more accounts. You're saying, oh, well, that's expensive. It's like, we're talking about, you can, if you need to, you can bootstrap it with payouts with the first few accounts. Some of you guys, you're like, man, I want to make $250,000 a month trading prop. And then it's like, okay, then you're probably going to need 30 or 40 accounts. And you're like, no, that's too expensive. That's a few $1,000s. It's like, come on, man. Put your head on straight. Talk a big talk until it comes time to pay the expenses, man. Every business has expenses. If you just don't have the money right now, that's cool. Bootstrap it. Get a few accounts, get some payouts, reinvest in yourself, into your trading. Abdul, good morning. Jason, when will the Think Big prop firm go live? Yeah. Sounds like a headache, man. I don't know. Yeah, Eric, Take Profit Trader, you know, it's never, right now, just straight up, their customer support has been as slow as it's ever been. I believe this is true. I think Take Profit Trader is by far the fastest growing prop. I mean, it's my favorite. Don't get me wrong, I really like Apex because they let you scale to 20 accounts. It's very, very helpful. But if we're looking at what should we build as the base, because we're going to hit a lot of the props anyway. You know, you're probably going to end up hitting Take Profit. You're going to hit Apex. Maybe you end up hitting Tradeify, Bullinox, whatever. But for me, it's like, well, okay, if I were starting from scratch as someone who's like trying to bootstrap this thing, what would I start with? Because I know that's most traders. They kind of have to bootstrap it. Take Profit is the obvious choice because once you're in a pro account, you can get to the payout level and you can take daily payouts. The money's in your account. From the time you traded it to the time it's in your account, it's like a day. Which is obviously very helpful. It keeps you afloat while you're trying to make the scaling happen. Whereas with Apex, it's like when you have to wait, again, it's great to scale because you can scale to 20 accounts. You can get a lot more payouts coming in totality. But you have to wait, you know, a number of days, if not weeks. Even if you operate quickly, you have to wait a few weeks probably to see that money in your account from start to finish, even if you get to the payout threshold fast. So I think it probably makes sense, build your base at Take Profit Trader, and then when you're like, okay, it's time to take this bigger, I have, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 Take Profit Pros. Let's go to Apex, scale this thing to 20. The Take Profits will pay my bills along the way. Maybe they'll pay for a good chunk of the Apex evals, and then you scale at Apex. And eventually you end up with, you know, 20, you know, 15, 20, 25 accounts funded between Take Profit and Apex. You're consistently taking daily payouts at Take Profit. You're consistently getting payouts at Apex, and now it's like off to the races. Now you have your pick of the litter. Tradeify, Bullinox, whatever. All right, big old wick here on this 5-minute bar. You can see it takes up basically, the body's basically the same size as the wick. Had this bar closed up here, I would have gotten long here on this 5-minute bar, but right now what I'm seeing is the potential for a little descending channel, and the bear is fading this back downside, which if they do, then I become interested in maybe taking out some stops here. I'm actually really curious. Not that all due respect, I'm not going to change the way I trade for the sake of entertainment. However, I'm actually really curious because I've heard a lot from both sides, and I'm just curious with each of you individually. On stream, a lot of you guys liked the video aspect of the 0 to 100K series because I was quick hitters, a lot of scalps. Not micro scalping. Micro scalping is like a couple points, which I think is really, really tough to do as a human. But it was definitely scalping. And I've also seen the other side when the market called for it, where it was certainly like bigger swings. We caught quite a few trades that were well over 50 points. We had a 100-point winner, a couple weeks ago. $10,000 winner on here on stream. What do you guys prefer to see? Do you like watching me swing trade, or would you like sitting here waiting and then putting on a bigger swing, or do you prefer the quick hitters for, $1, $2, $3, $4,000 a pop? Again, I'm not going to change based on entertainment, but I'm very curious to hear because I do go back and forth depending what the market is calling for. All right, Vinny, we'll take this to the Discord. Yeah, see, I thought this would be the case. See, those quick-hitting trades. You guys think I don't know what's going on? Those quick little dopamine hits. Nico, I seem to go on an excellent run of trading for about 3 weeks, make a huge amount of money, and then I also seem to go on a bad run. Any advice on how to avoid this? I mean, listen, we spend weeks on this one topic with my one-on-one people, sitting here talking it through, looking through their data, trying to figure out what's going on. Most cases, it's a few different scenarios, very individual. The biggest one is market environment changes. If it goes from a trend market to a range market and they don't adjust because all they learned how to do is the 15-minute opening range breakout, and now they think they can just do that every day and make a living. It'll work for a few weeks while it's a trend market, or at least more of a trend market, and then when the range market hits, you get obliterated. And oftentimes what it is that I've actually seen that, some of you guys might not think about is a lot of people, when they make money for a few weeks, they start to internally feel like a fraud, like they're getting lucky. And I know that this sounds really cliche, but this is the case. I've seen it. I can see it in the data. And from people telling me that they're kind of feeling this way, and then we put our finger on it and they're like, oh. It's almost a form of self-sabotage. They change what they're doing. They change what's working, even if the market environment is the same, because they think there's no way this could last. So let me find something that's more sustainable. But it's all just in their head. Like they had edge and now they gave it away, almost as kind of a weird, twisted form of self-sabotage that they don't realize they're doing. And I get it. You're probably sitting there like, that's not me. It might be you. It might be you. It's really, really common. One of the most common things I see in the industry is that. Because you know that trading is really hard. And when it feels too, quote unquote, easy, you're like, I'm doing something wrong. Except the problem is when you get good at trading and reading everything, it just comes easier to you. There's less friction involved in making a decent decision. Right? So it starts to feel, quote unquote, easy by comparison, and then you feel like a fraud when in reality, you're just getting better. and you actually have an edge, so then you self-sabotage. And self-sabotage doesn't have to look like, you know, oh, I'm getting in better shape, let me go eat 6 cakes because I don't deserve to be this lean. It doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't have to look like, hey, you know, I've made $25,000 in the last 2 weeks. Let me just go put on a giant bet and blow my accounts. That's not necessarily what it looks like. It's more nuanced than that. Right? You start taking little bad trades because you're like, I gotta go back to the drawing board. This feels too easy. This can't be right. It's supposed to feel a little easier by comparison when you get better. Right? Okay, so that closed inside of that previous bar wick. So I think we're in a little bit of a trading range. It's a little bit wider, but it's kind of like downside descending channel, now a little ascending channel. I think that's probably what we're looking at here. So I'd be interested in if we got a bit more of a push higher to take off the table any form of descending resistance that the bears could look at here. Little push higher and then a pull back down in like this region. I'd be interested in getting long. Yeah, John, and listen, when it's back on the table, man, we'll hit it and make a bunch of money again. For a little while, that one setup was paying us pretty damn well. Okay, so a couple options here. We could look at this, and I would draw this probably like this. Yeah, I'd draw like that. Split the difference. A little bit of a wedge. It's going to break one way or the other, obviously. Though in the meantime, I'd be willing to take little scalps. This is the 20 EMA, by the way, on the 5-minute chart here. The more we bounce around it in my head, the less relevant it becomes. The EMAs are really relevant. I think we actually saw this. I think we saw this yesterday. It might have been the day before. But we had a really slow grind up for a big chunk of the day. I have a really short memory when it comes to trading, and I think it's kind of a blessing, honestly. I think this was yesterday. You see a really slow grind up and you get test bounce, test bounce, test bounce like every 45 minutes. And that's when the EMAs are really important. But in a scenario like this, you know, we're testing it every 3 minutes. Oh, we're gonna see this test and see if we take out the wick of the previous bar. I'm ready to hit it if I can. Bruce, what's going on, my man? How you doing? Now, by the way, I'm just going to drop some free sauce. I know a lot of you guys know what I mean. Again, if you watched part of that series, I was trading the market at that time. I was trading mostly stop limit entries. I think it was mostly stop limit entries. And that made sense. Hold up. You got to see. There you go. You see, we take out this little low here. Now the bears have an even better argument for this line up here. So I'm watching the 2-minute chart as well. We have a minute 27 left on the 2-minute chart. Here's the 2-minute. And this shows, by the way, really, really well what I'm also about to talk about here. So I was using a lot of stop limit entries. Stop limit entries work well when volatility is higher and you're getting better continuation, whether it's a trend market or there's trends inside of a larger range. When you have a tight range market like we're seeing lately, which by the way is attempting to break out the last 2 or 3 days. When you have a tight market like this, stop entries, I swap out in favor of limit entries because every point counts in a market like this. What's up, Danny? Good morning. Keep at it, brother. There's people in your same position in here every single day that come in and say they got funded for their first account. All right, let's get rid of this. Here's the 2-minute about to roll over. See this big wick. And kind of an ugly close. Wick the size of the body. All right, back to focusing here on the 5-minute. All right, 90 seconds out here from the rollover of this 5-minute. You can see the bulls are stepping in. They're wicking this back. Again, very representative. It's a range market. These breakouts, most of them are going to fail. However, you know, this here is a breakout of a smaller range, right? This kind of ascending channel, the range on the whole day is more crucial. So if we do see a break downside here, it's very, very likely we get a bounce back into the range before probably a second leg, if that occurs to begin with. All right, back in 2. We are back. Wealthy. Any stats? Calm down, buddy. If I was one of these other guys who could give you an answer for that that's set in stone, then you could be certain that I trade one setup and you should click off the live if I answered that with certainty on all of my setups. Because they're different. I might put on a setup that has an 80% win rate, that's negative reward to risk. I might put something on that has a 20% win rate, that's very high reward to risk. Don't be going all caps in my fucking chat. Calm down. All right, we got 2 minutes, 22 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. And if we can get a nice close down here, then I think I'm gonna get short, take out some of these stops. I'll be risking this curl here. I don't wanna risk this full curl. This is to be more of a scalp, and the rocket fuel we could get off of those stops, it's not gonna push us so much that it covers that risk. So I'd probably risk this curl. Let's see if we can get a decent close here in the next 2 minutes. Which is also a stupid question. All right, minute 40 out. All right, come on, Bears. Calm down. Calm down. Don't take out those stops. I got to get in first. We've got 70 seconds. 2 minute looks pretty damn good as well. Oh, you son of a bitch. Look at this. They took out the stops. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to ride. We can get us close right about here. Did it to him too quick. Again, after that happens, you oftentimes get those bulls stepping in. It's a range market. It's going to get at least a wick back upside, at least an attempt, unless you see some news hit like right now. There you go, Clinton. See, that's the idea. Stop hunting is an edge in and of itself. It's not some fancy stuff that only institutions can do, right? I mean, look. You can look at the chart and say, all right, how obvious is a level? Pretty damn obvious. How long has it been set in stone? The longer intraday, the better. And I'm talking after the bell levels. Okay, that means there's more stops. The more obvious it is and the longer it's been obvious, the more stops are going to be there. Which means if you take a trade betting against, I suppose, the traders that have those stops out, because you're hoping to use their stops, which means their stops are getting filled, that's like free rocket fuel if you can start triggering those stops out. That's an edge, right? Because that's kind of like free movement in a way. 5, 10, 15, 20 points of free movement if you can test them. So I like to implement them along with strategies that I use all the time. Like here, this would have been, okay, we got a pretty damn strong bear bar closing near the low below this wick low, and we've got stops lined up. All I need to do really is get 10 points, trigger some of those stops, maybe 15 points to start triggering them. That'll push me at least to 20, 25, 30 points in the money. Boom, I can take profit. Didn't line up right. That's too bad, at least for me. So just to visualize kind of what I'm looking at here, I mean, yeah, we'll include that. Don't overthink it, just draw it. Split the difference. Okay, I think that's probably how most people are looking at that, right? A lot of people, they'll sit here and they'll go, okay, I'm gonna draw it like this. Yeah, we need to make sure it lines up perfectly. It's like no one, this is just a range. Like people kind of see that it's there. The algorithms are like, yeah, that's there for sure. Just split the difference. Don't overthink the lines. They don't work to the tick. It's just like a 5-10 point range at best. Okay. Testing the bottom end of this descending channel here. I mean, it's very clearly there. You can see it on every time frame, essentially. These stops are already taken out, so no concern there. If we can get a test here and then a small bull bar closing near its high, I'll get long. Good reward to risk there. Probability is half decent. Here's a look at the 2-minute chart, by the way. Decent little continuation here. However, that, that had been a rollover sell at 458-ish, which, I mean, you can see how that worked out, at least thus far. Coming right into that descending support level that, again, pretty clearly there. Okay. So you can see 2-minute chart. This is really common, right? You get this tight, relatively tight push down. We've been seeing this a lot. And then we enter a trading range. Now, at this exact moment, it's pretty damn close to 50-50 as far as which direction this trading range breaks, whether it's second leg lower, bounce back up into the big overarching channel. But for me, I'm kind of looking on the 5-minute. If we can get a nice close. Yeah, I mean, if we can get a nice full close, I'd say at least above this bear body. In the next 2 minutes, then I would be interested in getting long just for a scalp. Again, here we are now seeing a test again of this descending channel. A hard break of this changes a lot, by the way. At least for me. Taz! 3 trades back to back. Good work, brother. All right, here we are, pressing into the lows of the day. Okay, bear bars are losing steam, at least heading into this bar. 2-minute chart still in kind of a tightly packed little range here. By the way, here's what MES is looking like right now. You know, I wouldn't say tremendously smoother. It oftentimes is, if the volatility's decent on MES. I wouldn't say it's tremendously smoother than MNQ though today. So we're gonna stick with MNQ for now. All right, we got 90 seconds left here on this 5-minute candle. Same deal on the 2-minute bar. You can see those big bear bars. One big bear bar, I suppose, on the 5-minute chart, top left of your screen, slowly has turned here into dojis. Let's see if we can get a clean bull bar. Relatively clean bull bar. Closing near the high. And if we can, I'll buy that for a scalp. Relatively small risk, actually. Decent probability. Not the greatest, since the risk would be pretty tight. Again, tighter you keep your risk, in general, lower the probability, but better the reward to risk, in general. Which means it's more likely to lose. But if you win, you get a better reward to risk. So let's see here, 30 seconds. Come on, bulls, give us a nice, decent, half-decent close up here. Bulls can't do it. Got to give one more bar. Ugly little doji there. Look at that. Here we go. Another little test. This little range down here is kind of brutal, man. Nothing but dojis. There's just nothing really on the 2-minute right now, by the way. I'm watching both. You know, some people might say, well, you know, you probably could have sold the rollover of this bar. Yeah, but it was in a trading range. Wouldn't have worked well anyway. I did watch that, decided against it. It was just too much of a range here. Minute 10 out from the close of this 5-minute bar, which I have a little bit more hope for, because the 2-minute isn't giving us much right now. All right, I'm watching the 5-minute top left of your screen. We got 20 seconds. Come on, Bulls, hold on to this bar. That's half decent. Half decent. Tight risk, little trade. I'm sitting long. And the risk on this guy is tight. About 15 and a half points here of risk. Let's see if we can just, again, this is just a scalp. Just a scalp, not taking big old massive swings right now, not at all. I'm going to drive manually here. Hotkeys. Just want to see a bit of a pop up into the 70s. There we go. I'll take that off there. All right, 1,100 bucks. Let's move on. Again, small scalp. Small scalp, little base hits. See if we can put something together. When volatility's, you know, tight like this, I mean, we're seeing 13.5 minute bars. We gotta just do what we can. You know, base hit, base hit, base hit. I mean, believe me, I'd love to be putting on trades for, you know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 potential. It's not the market we're in necessarily. I like scalping. I really do like. Scalping's always been my favorite style. Over the years, I've grown to appreciate swing trading more. But like, what do I have the most fun doing? Scalping, by far. By far. Which I think is true for a lot of people. And it's important, man. I used to be the guy who was like, I don't care if I'm having a good time, you know, we're here to make money. And I think that that mindset is helpful, it's important, but eventually I got to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? If I'm gonna do this every day for the rest of my life, I'm making money, but if I'm gonna do this every day, and I think to be able to now grow this to the next level, like, I need to be having a good time. I need to enjoy this more. It's a really underappreciated aspect of this. You gotta be, you know, if you hate sitting down at the charts every day, I really think it's gonna be tough to take it bigger from where you currently are. You know, finally I came to the conclusion, it's like, I didn't become a trader to not have a good time. Now, there's a fine line between enjoying what you're doing and falling into gambling addiction using the market. Like, is it fun? Sure, it's fun, but it's different. It's a different kind of fun that you should not be having here. Pretty much top tick that, huh? A little move there. Let's see if we get another retest here of this channel. Looks like this channel's tightening down in an aggressive manner. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a break here at some point. Get a big wick back on this bull bar. Took profit up here. Get a big wick back. Now red bar starting to form. At least trying to. Again, there's always two sides. We can also see the bulls looking at this. You know, like, hey, maybe we're going to see this hold. There's always two sides to every idea. You got to consider both. Tell you guys what, if we can get to 300 viewers, which we should be able to just from you guys liking and commenting in the live chat, let's give away a 50K Take Profit Trader test account. What do you guys say? And I will drop the link to my free Discord where we will do it if we get to 300 viewers. There you go, it's in the chat. Just join my free Discord. Free, we'll just hang out in there. And then, you know, again, if we hit the goal, then I'll do the giveaway in there. It'll be super easy to enter. Doesn't cost anything, obviously. What we just talked about. Big hard test downside. Wouldn't surprise me if we see a break. There we go. There's a break. Yeah, this is a Discord problem. I've done everything I can. I tried for, I don't know, a good amount of time. I was trying for months to fix it, but I think it's the same fucking loser who keeps making fake accounts. I know who one of them is. He was a guy that was actually very active on Twitter, now X, back in the meme stock craze days. I know exactly who he is, and he was trying to scam people pretending to be me for a while. I guess couldn't figure out another way to make money. So if you get a DM from someone that looks like me, it is not me. Just block them. It's very, very simple. But Discord needs to get on their shit and figure out how to fix that. Well, I got the same idea here. As far as a scalp, let's see. We got 4 minutes, 15 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. Yeah, 2-minute chart's starting to look a little bit cleaner. I'm not ready to start hitting the 2-minute yet, though. It's coming out of a phase that I don't want to be a part of. So watching the 5-minute here, we got 4 minutes left. You know, honestly, sometimes the 5 minutes a great chart to trade. The setups are if you can get a really nice high quality setup, it's very good quality compared to the 2-minute. It's sometimes kind of slow. The 2-minute's great. But when the volatility slows, it gets pretty wicky. Got a bunch of you guys joining the Discord. All right, we got 2 minutes left here on this 5-minute bar. By the way, Brandon, I just got your application for the program, so I'll talk to you in a little bit. All right, minute 45 left on this 5-minute bar here. Let's see if we can grab one more little scalp here. I want this bar to stay reasonably sized, meaning not outsized, not too big. scalper. Earlier, I actually had a Trade of 8. My Trade of 8 connection with Take Profit Trader into Ninja Trader disconnected here. You might be disconnected. That happened to me earlier today. All right, 65 seconds here. Let's see how this 5-minute bar closes. Maybe I can toss on a scalp. All right, here comes the rollover. Kind of an ugly wick there, huh? I gotta hold off. I'm watching the 2-minute now, though. The 2-minute's starting to get a little bit smoother. And I'm not afraid to execute off the 2. If it offers us setups that the 5-minute doesn't. All right, I'll be back in 2. Don't go anywhere. All right, we are back, and there's 60 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. Looking relatively interesting, though. We got to point out, we could be looking at something that's a little aggressive. Could be looking at something like this. I'm going to delete that. I prefer not to draw very aggressively slanted lines. Levels, I should say, because they tend to break very quickly. The very aggressive ones, like damn near vertical, don't hold very well. I'm really curious to see if we keep giving up lows, because I want to get long, but we're a little high in what could be a little descending resistance below that 20 EMA. Yeah, Andrew, I think it's a bunch of people, honestly, which is why I don't like to talk about this too much, because every time I talk about it, there's some fucking losers out there that are like, oh, that's a really good idea. Let me just try to scam people. It's like, if you put half as much energy into doing something actually of value as you do into scamming, you would probably make even more money. All right, we got 60 seconds here. Jamari, I got your text as well. I'll talk to you when I'm off stream here, both you guys. I'll give this a shot here. All right, stop limit sell, risk relatively tight. Just look if we can take out those lows a little bit again here, or at least get a downside test. I'll pull that for now. There we go. All right, so we're in short, and I'll keep risk pretty damn tight here. We'll go there and see if we can't just get a bit of a take out of these wicks down here. Not necessarily this one, though I would love to see it. So I'll leave this like here for now. And just see if we can't get a little bit better push. I've actually got my stop ahead of the 20 EMA. I could place it up here. I'd be risking an extra 10 points. And, you know, for this scalp, for the potential reward, at least what's reasonable, I'm not really into that, so I'm not looking for the EMA to save my ass anyway. I just want to get a reasonably quick move downside, see if we can get another test after we took out that previous bar's wick low. See if we can't get 10, 15 points. There we go. There's a reasonable close out of the Bears. Oh, Bears, get a follow through. Panel's tightening down a little bit here. ATR is 22. It's starting to fade a little bit. And risk is pretty damn tight. Risk on this trade is 18 points. You just can't justify giving it much more than that with the volatility here. Finger on my hotkey just in case I gotta pull it quick. Need to see a move down through 42. we can get 42 falling out, I really think we're going to see maybe a 5-10 point move relatively quickly. So that 42 level's got to give. All right, big wick back right before the rollover. Here's the rollover. Come on, Bears, sweep it. Sweep it. Do it to him. The Bulls are holding it. Come on, Bulls. Give up 42. The Bears want it, man. They just can't get it. Give it up. Give it up. Dump through. Not bad. Could be better. Yeah. Gonna dump through three points. I was looking for more like 5 to 10. Looking to get like 12, 15 points at least out of this little scalp here. Would be ideal. All right, let's drive manual here, see what we can do. The thing is, we have a whole bunch of wicks down here that, you know, a couple of stops, maybe a couple of stops, and quite a few stops. There, I'll place that right there, see what we can get. Be damn near 20 points. All I'm really asking for here is an extra couple of points, 2 points as we take out the lows. Should be plenty of stops down here to push at least 2 points. But again, that's kind of free liquidity if you can get down there, so I don't want to leave that on the table if I can help it when it's offered, right? But I could pull it off right now, but I think we're going to see this break. Come on, Bears, do it to him. Now, you might be sitting there wondering, why not just take it, man? You know, well, you know, the difference here in taking it here and a reasonable probability of us taking out the low for at least an extra 2 points, the difference isn't 2 points. The difference is more like 8 points. Because I'd be pulling it right about here, right? And maybe 12 points in the money. So you're talking you're talking a 12-point winner versus a 19, 20-point winner in what I estimate to be a pretty good probability occurrence, at least sweeping this low. Now, we very might well hold the low, obviously. That's the trade-off. So let's see if the Bears can sweep it. And where's Quicksilver when you need him? Well, back to break even here on the trade. on, Bears. You know you want to see it. Yeah, not a horrible close out of the bulls. Definitely not great, but not horrible. You know, when we're talking about, I'm adding more than 50% on to this trade if we can see a sweep of the low. And again, as traders, we're always operating in like a kind of like a dense fog, right? Trying to make the best decisions we can. We're driving in a fog. So, you know, to me, we're talking, I'd be adding over 50% to the reward on this trade. And the probability, I think it's worth waiting for me. All right, Bears, do it to him. Give it up. Give up that little low and it's a free couple of points, I would think, out of stops. The Bulls trying everything they can to protect that area. Yeah, ATR is sitting about 21 right now. Not horrible. We saw worse yesterday afternoon. So, potential reward on the scalp here is about a little over 1,800 bucks. And just a scalp. But we gotta see them pull this. Pull this low. You know the bears want to do it to him. Sweep it, do it. They did it. There you go. All right, that adds 1,800 bucks to the P&L. Base hits today, man. Base hits. Let's keep rocking and rolling here. Scott, passed my first eval today. Good work. Good work. Now take it easy and start scaling that thing up eventually, man. We'll be at 30 accounts before you know it. You know, now again, here, just my thought process out loud. We're looking at the 5-minute chart right now. Here's a better look. We're in a descending channel, and you can see since about 10:15 on my chart here, the 10:15, the channel has tightened, right? I mean, you could make the argument that we could theoretically just draw this and be like, okay, people are probably watching that, right? Send this out. So, these little pushes, they're probably not going to go very far. Because it hasn't. I mean, the markets have inertia, right? They're resistant to change. They don't like to do what they haven't already been doing. So, for me, it's a buckle up and buckle down, I should say, and scalp market. It's not really a put on a swing and pray kind of day. At least not right now. It's not. Buy low, sell high. That's what kind of day it is. And then where people get into trouble is determining, you know, where's low, where's high. How do you manage risk on it? I'd love to get short up here, actually. I mean, look, drop off about 10 points, puts us maybe 52, lines up pretty damn well right ahead of the 20 E-man to 5. I wouldn't even necessarily have to risk to this, because by the time this high breaks, my idea's out the window anyway. I could risk 11, 12 points with the potential of getting, 15. Let's see if we can get that. By the way, Take Profit Trader with code BIG, B-I-G, is currently 30% off, no activation fee. And you damn well want the no activation fee, because that's well over $100. So using the code, it waives the activation fee completely, and you get 30% off. So by the time you pass it, you pay nothing else. It just activates and you're ready to go. You can take daily payouts on day one once you're in a pro account with Take Profit Trader. Great way to start. Because those daily payouts can keep you afloat while you're scaling. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. I think Take Profit is probably the best one to start with. Apex is the best to scale, but you want that revenue generation early, in the early days, especially. So, even not in the early days, it's always nice to have money coming in as often as possible, right? So Take Profit's a good option. We're not really getting this push higher, are we? And I want to get short up here. On a bar that's not a really strong bull bar, though. I don't want to give the bulls too much confidence. Well, things tightening up a little bit more even here. ATRs, I think we're starting to dip below 20, aren't we? Yeah, we're holding on to 20 on the average range of a 5-minute bar. Again, I mean, it could be worse. It could be 11. All right, so I don't want to complain too much, but 20 is not great. That last bar, 10.5 point range. Smoke screen, the ATR indicator, it's just, what is it? It's the, in Ninja Trader, it's the range indicator displayed in bar format with the ATR indicator displayed in line format, just laid in the same section. It's two separate indicators. I just think of them as data displays. They're not, I mean, they're not indicators in the way that people think about indicators. Laid in the same section, so I kind of make it one. Basically, we're comparing, hey, what's the average over the last 10 5-minute bars compared to the range on each individual bar. So you can see if it's starting to tank off compared to the average or starting to really increase compared to the average. Helps you manage risk, is ultimately why I have it. And helps you make a reasonable ask of the market. If the ATR is, 18, like it is right now, should we really be putting on scalps with 45-point take profits? Probably not. Might not make a lot of sense. All right, guys, volatility's a little bit down here. I guess this is as good a time as any. I'm gonna go hit lunch. I'll come back, sit down in the afternoon, see what we can grab. This is where I sit currently. Gonna try to beef that up maybe a little this afternoon, but we're up 2,900 bucks on the day here so far. Over a couple of scalps, I'll take it for now. Can't complain, man. Base hit market right now, so keep hitting those base hits. And I'll tell you what, guys, I will see you tomorrow if you haven't already. Leave a like on the stream, helps out tremendously, makes it easy for you. Tomorrow it'll pop up, and subscribe to the channel if you're not. But all you guys in the chat are already subscribed. So, tell you what, I'll see you in the morning. Have a good one. Be patient, let it come to you, and when it does, hit it hard. All right, guys, have a good day.